Hello and welcome to our special show where we answer all your questions on coronavirus, any doubts, any queries you may have. In fact, our doctors take those questions, and today we have a very illustrious panel of doctors joining us. Dr. Ashok Seth, a Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri awardee and Chairman Fortis Escorts Heart Institute. Also Dr. Ambrish Mittal, a Padma Bhushan awardee and Chairman and Head Endocrinology and Diabetology at Max Healthcare Delhi. Thank you so much, doctors, for taking out time and joining us this morning. And I'd like to start with a question of my own. A lot of talk, about, we don't know enough about the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, but there's a lot of talk about different strains and whether in India we are seeing something, that is perhaps a different strain, and also a lot of talk about why it's not affecting Indians as much, and are we more immune somehow because we go through viruses and illnesses every year after year? Does that have any effect, or is that sort of talk something that's very dangerous and, it's a kind of loose talk? What would you say first to you, Dr. Seth?
So firstly, whatever we say, let's not be complacent about whatever the precautions we're taking. I think I want to put that, because we want to give hope, but not at the expense of being complacent and careless in our precautions. The second aspect you asked was whether this strain is a different strain. There's been a lot of discussion around this, and there was some indicators earlier on, but the ICMR has clearly said that as they're looking at it, and they're looking at creating vaccines for it, at the last 3 months there's been no mutation of the virus, and that's a very encouraging sign. That also goes as an encouraging sign as we look at development of a vaccine over the next few months to a year. The third aspect that you asked me was whether we're seeing immunity within our own system. Again, we don't know this, but there are some comforting facts, and the comforting facts are that we're certainly seeing less deaths and less serious cases. And by the way, in the population that we have, while we may not be testing enough, but serious cases and deaths are hard endpoints which are seen in the hospital and seen by doctors and epidemiologists. And we're really not seeing our hospitals filling up with serious cases. Keeping in mind that we great density of population and a lot of people, we should have been seeing more of such serious patients, and that brings a comfort zone, saying perhaps all the infections that we've amassed over the years, and more so in the poor class, in poverty, in congestion, that perhaps there could be some immunity, that we're not seeing serious infections. We would perhaps be seeing a lot more non-serious infections which we are not picking up, but at least we're comforted by the fact that there's less serious infections.
But as you said, Dr. Seth, that still doesn't mean any sort of complacency should creep in. Dr. Mittal, what would you add to this? And also this talk of viral load and how in India the infections are seen to be a bit lesser, and the viral load is seen to be lesser.
No, I don't think we have enough studies on the viral load as yet to really say that. As Dr. Seth pointed, these are all theories, but what is true, I'll just add one point to what Ashok said, really was the fact that even the proportion of people who are testing positive out of the number of people who are being tested is not very high in India. So there is something perhaps that is protecting us right now, that has been very solidly aided by the lockdown. The real picture will emerge when the lockdown is lifted and people are merging with each other again. Therefore, I think for this whole year, some degree of social distancing, some degree of respiratory hygiene, hand hygiene will have to be observed. And if at the lifting of the lockdown, the surge is manageable and not really a huge spike, then we'll win this battle. But if at the lifting of lockdown we just let go and the cases re-emerge in a big way, then we're in trouble.
But Dr. Mittal, what's been a big worry in Delhi, the last 186 or so cases earlier, they were all asymptomatic. So that's the big worry, isn't it? Because people who can withstand but be carriers of this virus, infecting those who are more vulnerable, like patients with heart disease and diabetes, etc.
Certainly, I mean, there's a good side and a bad side to that. The good side is that perhaps more people are remaining asymptomatic here and not getting into severe disease. On the other hand, as you very rightly pointed out, those who are carriers, asymptomatic carriers, can seriously infect the kind of patient Dr. Seth and I look after, that is people with diabetes, people with heart disease, the elderly. They are the ones who are the most vulnerable to the problems with the virus. Their outcomes are poorer, their risk of going on to ventilator and adverse outcomes is 3 to 5 times higher than, say, a 40-year-old who otherwise doesn't have diabetes, doesn't have heart disease.
Right.
So one of the strategies that we need to adopt is actually protect these people over 60 or 65 years of age who have heart disease, diabetes, lung disease. I mean, put them in cotton wool for some time. We really need to protect them. And if we can protect those who are vulnerable, then we can really help reduce the impact of the virus, even though the infected team will still be there. So you have to think of the virus as a seed, and you have to think the human body as a soil. And when the soil is fertile, as it is in people with multiple disorders, pre-existing and older age group, the virus proliferates. And if it's a health, a soil which is not friendly to the virus, you will find that it doesn't do that much damage.
All right. Well, we have a lot of callers now lined up to ask questions. We have a caller from Bengaluru, Siddharth. Go ahead with your question.
A very good morning to the esteemed panel of doctors. Really an honor to be connecting with you. Doctors, I have two questions. Firstly is, with COVID patients typically manifesting with ARDS, would alternative forms like maybe a high-flow oxygen or a ventilator BiPAP or a CPAP help? And part two is, if I were to contract COVID and be cured, would I get the infection again, or would the body, remember that I had these antigens and fight against it and, prevent me from getting the infection again?
All right, Dr. Seth.
So let me answer the second question first for you, and that is whether you're immune once you've got developed an immunity, once you've got the infection, whether you get it again or not. At the moment, not enough information. It seems reasonable to suppose at the moment that those who get an infection will not get another infection, because that's been the pattern with previous viruses, because one develops antibodies which therefore protect you subsequently, and that's the reason why convalescent plasma is also being used in many instances as a research. Who said that? Remember that this is a new virus. More and more information is coming, and there was the concern about this, which was seen in Korea and in China, even after the patients had recovered and a second infection was seen. We must point out that even the virologists at the moment think that those second infections to the same patient in Korea, which they thought was reinfection, is perhaps not reinfection, but the fact that the first test, which was false negative either, or the viral load was not sufficient enough and the virus stayed there, and in a second test came as positive. Or thirdly, if you've got very low immunity, the virus can therefore resurge yourself. It hasn't gone away completely, can resurge and come back again, so it's not a reinfection. So that would answer that for the moment we think that once infected, you do become immune to it, but more science will tell us in the future. Coming to the first part of your question, which is the pneumonias, the serious chest infections, the ARDS, yes, that's why we talk about the ventilators, that's why we talk about BiPAP, that's why we talk about the high-flow mask, and in many cases putting them on a ventilatory and cardiopulmonary resuscitation circuit called the ECMO to support both the lungs and the heart. That is the reason why we're so concerned about the number of ventilators in this country, because as serious disease comes in, as those with lung infections or lung affecting the lungs comes in, and we won't call it infection because it works in different manners to actually hurt the lungs in itself, then we have to put them on ventilators. And in the West, we found that ICU beds and ventilators fell short despite their structure. We in India have got 50,000 ventilators and have asked for 100,000 more as a backup, just in case we actually face the situation which we actually see in the West, and we are actually prepared, and the government has prepared itself for the worst of this in terms of ventilatory and supportory equipments.
All right, Doctor, thank you so much for that.
But I must again tell you.
Yes.
That, thank you.
Right, we have another caller, G.
I was just going to say that we must also remember, 80% of the people recover with mild infection. So it's not everybody who actually gets that. Like Dr. Amrish Mittal pointed out, there are vulnerable people who will get serious infections, and a small proportion of those will get bad lung problems which need ventilation, which actually means 5% to less population. So at the moment in Delhi, there are only 6 people on ventilator at the moment.
All right, an important point to note. We have a caller, G. Singh from Mohali. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sir, there is a long-held belief that such viruses do not last in warmer temperature environments. Virus attack illness may be stronger in colder environments. Suppose you keep the AVID patient room at 34, 35 degrees Celsius for a few days and see the recovery rate. Is it worth a trial?
All right, Dr. Mittal, this of course is something that's been talked about a lot earlier as well, but since then we've seen, you know, the COVID cases, how they've spread in Singapore, etc. So what would you say to that?
I think in one line the answer is we don't know. About COVID-19, we do not know how much weather will have an impact. At the moment, and the ICMR has reiterated this, at the moment there is no evidence that we have to say that heat will kill the virus. In general, high temperatures kill viruses, so we are hopeful, but there is no proof at all, so I wouldn't put my money on that at the moment at least.
All right, we have another caller from Bangalore, Venkat Prasad. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
This is the second time I'm calling you, and lucky, and you're doing a fantastic job. And
thank
my
you.
question is, as of now, see, the asymptomatic cases are increasing. So basically, if the partial lockdown is lifted, and if people are moving out, and these people will infect the others, and we'll have a situation. So is that advised so that you never know, right? So that's the only concern.
All right, Dr. Mittal, again, concerns from today, we have a partial lifting of lockdowns, but in those areas only which are not hotspots, that are not red zones. But still, is it a worry?
Yes, surely, because I'm sure the infection, if you start testing the population, you will have much larger number of infected cases who are asymptomatic, which is why, as I was saying, social distancing measures have to be inbuilt into our DNA now. We really have to be careful about that. Respiratory hygiene. Why is the government or authorities worldwide now recommending masks for everybody in public places? Is to prevent the spread of infection from you to others. It's not so much to protect yourself, it is even more important that if you have a mask around your face, even a homemade mask, it's not perfect, but it will help in reducing the risk of spreading the infection to others. So I think it's very, very important we don't let go. We observe all the measures that are being outlined day in and day out on channels like NDTV. We follow them carefully, even if there is some relaxation in the curfew or in the lockdown.
Though I have to say, on the issue of masks, it's been quite a change in terms of what was initially said, how everybody doesn't need to wear masks, and then it was said only those who are, you know, vulnerable need to wear masks, and now the thinking is everybody needs to wear masks, especially because of the asymptomatic patients. And as you said, Dr. Mittal, you know, the risk of being a carrier and actually passing it to somebody else. We have another caller, Zenobia, calling in from Goa. Go ahead with your question.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thanks to all of you for this time and the help that you are giving us in advance. My question is, my father is 77 years old and he wants to visit a barber at his hair. Is it advisable for him?
He wants to visit what?
Dr. Seth, her father is 77 and wants to visit a barber, and I can understand how, you know, there must be worries and about that. What would you advise?
I would advise a strict no. And that not just goes for your father, it goes for each one of you, but we must remember your father is even more susceptible because he falls in the elderly. And you know the government advisory, it's for everybody, but the ones, even when the government actually opens up, and is allowing some of the people to go to work, above the age of 60 is a clear no-no, work from home, above the age of 65, clear no-no, and you should be taking more care of your father in all circumstances, even at home, that he is well protected, he has no visitors, even when you approach him, that you actually wash your hands, make sure that he cleans his hands regularly, make sure that all precautions as advised by us regularly of hand washing, hygiene, mask wearing, even for him, anybody going near him, I would even at home suggest that you don't be casual about it. For your father, you actually wear a mask. He doesn't go out, you can help him to cut hair. This is the time when you learn new things at home. In fact, this is the time for bonding. If you cut your father's hair, that is the biggest bonding he will remember for the rest of his life. So I think you have to follow the precautions. It's an absolute no that he goes out at this time.
So Zenobia, you must look at YouTube videos on how to cut hair. And doctors, it's also very interesting that now suddenly the children are becoming the parents. In the sense, I know a lot of people, you know, my age, scolding their parents, telling them, no, don't go out. Parents are talking about, like in this case, I'm sure her father wants to go out and get his hair cut, and she's telling him not to. We have another caller from Srinagar, Muhammad Ashraf. Go ahead with your question.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is, madam, is there a relation between BCG vaccination and less COVID-19 infection? And if the answer is yes, how it is related?
All right. First, you, Dr. Sen, I'll go to both of you for this because this is something that's been talked about again and again and again. If you could take it, Dr. Sen.
So firstly, historically, BCG vaccination, which has been used for tuberculosis, has been preventive in other viral infections as well, and there's reasons around it that it has multifactorial immune responses. About the BCG vaccination and COVID-19 disease, there have been 3 epidemiological studies, not cause and effect relationship, I must tell you clearly. Epidemiology means that those countries in which BCG vaccination has been systematically given since 40s and 50s, like Japan, India and others, seem to have 10 times low prevalence of COVID-19 disease. Now that was an epidemiological study. It was seen by 2 or 3 different authorities. Therefore, it's not cause and effect relationship, it's an association. Now that trials have started on BCG vaccine in 2 groups of patients. One, those who are frontline healthcare workers looking after COVID-19 patients in France and in United Kingdom and in Europe, and then a second trial also of those who are above the age of 60 who are vulnerable to get more COVID-19 disease, to test BCG as a vaccination for prevention of COVID-19 disease, not for treatment. These trials will give their results in the next 4 weeks for us to understand more about it. But at the moment, only epidemiological, no cause and relationship, no relevance to it for the moment.
All right. And Dr. Mittal, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think Dr. Seth has said it very precisely and very accurately. At the moment, we don't have an answer. It's a very interesting concept. And that may be one of the reasons why we are doing better so far. But I think we are sticking our neck out by saying that that is the reason. We really cannot be certain.
Right, and as Dr. Seth said at the start, no room for complacency at all.
Absolutely. Can I add a point?
Yes.
So there's this thing that we've all been saying about people with diabetes and how they're more prone to COVID-19, not more prone to COVID-19, but more prone to complications of COVID-19. A recent analysis again suggests that all people with diabetes are not the same. Well-controlled diabetes, younger patients are actually perhaps not prone to COVID-19 as compared to their peers. But older people with poorly controlled diabetes are particularly vulnerable. So I think it's very important. The message why I'm putting this in is that it's very important to control your diabetes well, check your blood glucose regularly. Not all diabetics are in the same basket. You know, you can be one of those who...
All right, actually we have, the next question is regarding this. We have Gautam Basu calling from Bengaluru. Go ahead with your question, Gautam.
Hello, good morning, Gargi and doctor.
Good morning.
Actually, I am a diabetes patient. This is the similar question which earlier person has told. I am 50 years old. I am under consultation with doctors. He has given medicine, and with that, he has told me to check regularly and have a walk for 20 or 30 minutes. I am taking the first point, that is medicine. But checking with doctors and the walk is not able to do right now. And third is how much I am prone for being 50 years old to the coronavirus.
All right, Dr.
Okay,
Mittal.
so that
Yes.
leads on very nicely. Basically, what we are saying is that if you're keeping your diabetes blood pressure, other parameters in control, and let's talk of diabetes just now, which mean yes, you're taking your medicines, but you need to be checking your blood glucose regularly, maintaining a chart. And if it's going off, you have to contact your doctor through remote mechanisms like telemedicine. That is very important. Just taking the medicine alone is not enough. You have to follow a diet schedule as if you were at work. You have to follow the diet schedule of timings, healthy diet, avoid the foods that we know increase blood glucose and reduce immunity, both. The important part you said is that you can't go for a walk. That is a question I'm asked on my WhatsApp or phone like 20 times a day.
And we are also constantly asked about this, yes.
Yes. So I think you need to exercise at home. I mean, in this day and age, there are plenty of options. If you're fond of yoga, you can practice yoga. If you have lucky enough to have a treadmill at home, use a treadmill. Static cycle, use a static cycle. You can use numerous apps. There are numerous apps that will actually help you exercise at home in solitude even. So a little bit of motivation is required. One of the things that I have found that works well is you presume that your day is like a normal day. You follow the same timing. Start work at the same time. You get onto your desk or whatever at the same time. If you follow a routine, you will find this much easier to implement.
Right.
Practice social distancing from your refrigerator. And not just from people. And I think
very important points in this time of the lockdown. We have one last caller. We have a little bit time left. Rana Alok calling from Noida. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. I have a question for Dr. Ashok Seth. And sir, I had a triple vessel disease, and I was done angioplasty on left artery and also left branching artery, and RCA was CTO. And it was scheduled for 31st of March. It couldn't happen because of the lockdown. So I just wanted to understand the risk which COVID-19 has for people like me.
All right.
And whether, you know, it's
all right, Dr. Seth?
For a walk or not.
Yeah. So firstly, how old are you? That's very important information.
48. He's 48 years old.
48. So here's understanding about heart disease and COVID. People who have heart disease can be more prone to COVID and must take full precautions. There's no question about your going out for walks. Dr. Amrish Mittal just explained to you that your exercise schedule can be at home. All your precautions continue. You must take care of your medicines and must remember that you should not be exposed and take extra precaution. Secondly, our patients who have actually the heart disease, your coronary artery disease is not going to get dramatically worse during this time, but it has been shown that COVID-19 disease can exacerbate heart disease, especially those who have got weak hearts and heart failure. Occasionally, they can precipitate heart attacks as well, and they can precipitate heart arrhythmias. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it. All you need to do is take extra precautions, and that's most important. We keep on emphasizing the precautions mostly as the first point, because if you get COVID disease, then you can actually get much worse than a normal person who hasn't got coronary artery disease. But the first thing is not to get COVID disease. That's the first point. Second point is, if you were getting worse with your heart disease, could you actually have treatment at this time? Absolutely. I go to the hospital every day. Everybody's in the hospital. All our doctors, the frontline staff across the country are in the hospital. And they said, and the Prime Minister advises, elective cases, the ones who can wait, should not be, because they didn't want to fill up the hospitals in a situation where we didn't know what was forthcoming in terms of large volumes of cases. But believe you me, anybody can now go to the hospital and have his procedure done with the safety without feeling that he's going to get affected by COVID if you felt you were getting worse. So don't get yourself going downwards. Get better if you really feel that you're worried and scared about this disease process.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Seth and Dr. Mittal, for joining us and sparing your time. That's all the time we have on the show. Thank you, everyone, for watching.